we need to turn on our mics and get ready here. So I think everybody's ready to begin. Staff is in place, looking sharp, and we've got a quorum. So call the meeting to order. And would you help us with the roll call? Very
Sure. Chair Smith-Crivello,
present.
Vice Chair Collin,
Here.
Commissioner Dawson,
Here.
Commissioner Humbero. I'll go ahead and mark Commissioner Humbero absent. Commissioner O'Neill,
Here.
Commissioner Rath,
Here.
Commissioner Rodriguez. I'll go ahead and mark Commissioner Rodriguez absent. And I can go ahead and announce staff members present. We have Principal Planner Roveri, Associate Planner Buggert, and myself, Recording Secretary Barrera.
Thank you. And I'm supposed to announce the present of staff that may be speaking. So we do have an agenda item, and Matthew, will you be the one leading that? So thank you. And we're opening the consent agenda. We don't have any member of the public present. Is there anyone online?
I can go ahead and remind the public how to join
Okay,
online.
thanks.
Members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey and Comcast Channel 25. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-739-7120. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it's their turn to speak. Please turn off TV or computer speakers or go to another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. Please stay within that limit. I don't see any attendees online.
No, if this is for staff, a question relating to the attendance. If a staff member chose to go on Zoom that we allow for the public, does that count in any way?
Was the question if staff can be on Zoom?
Well, no, I mean commission or staff. It says explain how members of the public can participate via Zoom. And yeah, you're right, I said it wrong. But if members of the public can participate via Zoom, could a commissioner or staff participate via Zoom? It seems like we have the option for the public. I'm just curious.
Yeah, the state law said that voting members need to be present
Okay.
in order to vote.
Oh, mhm.
The commissioners could attend online, they just couldn't vote.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm glad you clarified it, just in case they happen to be, choosing to be on Zoom or they come in, because I've kind of forgotten how that works. It's been a while.
Well,
since
I
we've
think
done
that
it.
they voted, didn't they? Like last
Well,
time, 2 of them were
Yes,
on.
but that ended at the end of.
Oh, that's right.
is a new
That's right.
month,
We're just
and now
starting.
you need to be physically present.
Yes.
So
That's
there
right.
could be some confusion, even though we did talk about it the last meeting. So
Hmm.
that gives a little extra layer of.
Yeah.
And
I
we
would
do need at least 4 commissioners present in person to have a quorum.
And we're all set, so we're moving
Yes.
ahead. Okay, so this is the consent agenda. And do we have anything on the consent agenda?
We have the February 9th minutes.
Okay, so if you haven't looked it over, please, kind of look it over. We really had I want to say, I think a very good meeting, because it brought us all together with some common information that should help us move forward as a group. And I wanted to thank staff for that training. So does anyone have a addition or a correction for the minutes? it did review some of the things that we talked about and was happy to see that also. So can I hear a motion? Carol,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're all
Do
set.
we still need a roll call
It's
vote?
just-
Yes, we probably do. That's, I guess, well, that was for the purposes of Zoom though.
Right,
So maybe we don't.
I just don't know.
I think the roll call would have been for, because of Zoom.
Okay,
I
makes
don't
sense.
know either. What,
can we do it now just to be
Sure.
safe? And then I'll,
Sure,
Right,
of
that's a
course.
good
okay,
idea.
next
course,
time
we'll
I'll
clarify.
find out.
yeah, let's do that. So
Okay.
somebody
Better
doesn't
be
say,
safe
we
than
need to do
sorry.
the meeting again because we missed that.
Right.
Easier to go, to have an extra review of who made the vote. Go ahead.
Chair Smith Carvalho,
Aye.
Vice Chair Collin,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Aye.
and Commissioner Rath.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved with a vote of 5.
Okay, so we can move on. And so we've completed the consent. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? We don't see anyone present here. Do we have to do the online?
There's no one online?
No one?
We-
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't have to repeat how to join.
Okay, thank you. And so we have our first agenda item. Matthew is going to lead it. Thanks, Matthew.
Gonna go ahead and share my screen here and get rid of, oh, okay. Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Buggart. I'm an associate planner with the city's planning division. And today we're here to talk about 559 Pacific Street, which is right across from City Hall, for a sign permit application for both a new banner and some replaced wall signage. The recommendation from city staff is that the HPC adopt the resolution to approve the sign permit. The site, the zoning from the general plan has it as PCDH2. What that means is Planned Community Downtown Historic District, locally designated. And the general plan designates the parcels as commercial and parks and open space. There are 2 parcels highlighted here. Both of them have the address as 559 Pacific Street. They just had different general plan land uses. Here's a very fun image of the site. For some background of the structure itself, this is before it received a 2-story addition on the right side of the structure. This is looking out from City Hall towards the structure. And you can see the old walkway leading up to Colton Hall with the pedestal that's now located in the park. The site was used as the Monterey County building from 1947 to 1969. And you can still see County of Monterey indicated above the doorway here. So this photo couldn't find a date for it, but was taken during that time. It was also used as the as a mortuary building.
Yep, that's right, for the county.
Yeah. And today it stands as a museum. For site background, for it to receive H2 designation, it needed to be designated as historically significant, and it was under criterion 1 and 3. 1 for its use, as stated, it was a governmental site, and criterion 3, the architect who created the original structure was C.J. Ryland. He also did a few other buildings like the Monterey Union High School expansion and the Few Memorial Hall of Records. In 1982, that porte cochere that was shown on the previous image was replaced with a 2-story addition, including an elevator shaft on the south side of the building facing the park. Currently, there's 6 approved signs on the structure. I'm going to go into these on the following slides. On the south side, there's 4 wall signs and there's 2 rotating banner wall signs. By rotating, it doesn't mean that they physically rotate, they just rotate them out once a quarter. And the proposal of this project is to keep both of the existing rotating banner signs, replace 3 of the wall signs, remove 1 of the wall signs, and propose 1 new larger rotating banner sign. So the east face, if you're standing on Calle Principal, there's 1 sign here, and that's going to be replaced with a sign which looks like this and pops on there on the building. When it comes to signage in the city, we cannot regulate what goes on the sign, but we can regulate what the size is and placement. For Francis Elkin Park, this is the south facing side, and you can see the 2-story additions elevator shaft, which goes up here. There's 1 existing sign right now facing the park, and the elevator tower would receive a 9-foot by 16-foot banner sign, which is 144 square feet. The sign guidelines for the city limit a sign to 50 square feet, and so this would be larger than what is currently allowed by city standards. The reason for the size was so that it wouldn't look out of place in comparison to the elevator shaft itself. And so those would pop on there, and they have a rendering as well, but these are the updated signage that would go there. The difference in the signage on the right side here, they're doing a rebranding of sort for the museum, removing some of the red and making it, in their eyes, a little bit more modern. And finally, we have from Pacific Street, the west side of the building. So if you looked out from Colton Hall, this is what you would see. There are 4 signs on this side of the building. There is 2 existing wall signs here and here, and 2 rotating banner signs. The sign here in the middle between the rotating banner signs would be removed. And then on the right side, again, along with their logo update rebranding, they're going to replace it with a letter-based sign, or that's the proposal to do so. Findings for approval that are necessary for signs in the city is that the proposal achieves the purposes and objectives of the sign ordinance. The general purposes and objectives of the sign ordinance is to identify a business, identify a location. As this is a museum, similar to the rotating banners in the past, they're also identifying the current exhibit or upcoming exhibit that would be located within the museum. Additionally, the findings need to be that the signs are consistent with the sign guidelines, or that the proposal better achieves the purpose and objective than strict application of the sign guidelines, which allows some flexibility in the case that the signs aren't perfectly fitting into the guidelines. We bring them to either HPC or ARC, depending on the zoning of the property. And I have an asterisk at the end there because I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on the next page. And finally, number 3, the proposal is consistent with the general plan. The general plan allows for signage as long as you follow the procedure, and that's what we're doing here today. Regarding number 2, there are 2 main aspects that are not consistent with the guidelines. One of them, which I already mentioned, is that the rotating banner that faces Francis Elkins Park exceeds the allowed area. The maximum allowed area is 50 square feet. They're proposing 144 square feet. And staff feels that it is appropriate because the proposed sign would mask the kind of simple blocked elevator tower feature as well. Additionally, it's not a part of the historic part of the structure, so adjustments to it would not necessarily impact the historic integrity of the site. Also, The total amount of signage that's currently on the Pacific Street side of the building exceeds the allowed number. The banner signs are considered wall signs, and a property is only allowed to have up to 2 wall signs on a property. They were previously approved to have 4, and so they're removing one of them and being left with 3.
Sorry, I want to clarify that
I think
the guideline is to have maximum of 2 wall signs per street frontage. So,
Oh.
yeah, per street. So
street
Cayupi could have 2, Pacific could have 2, and then any street frontage.
Okay.
it also includes pedestrian walkways, so the Francis Elkins Park is okay.
Oh, so would it be, how many total are they allowed to have with that?
And in this case, because the building fronts 2 streets, they could have 2 wall signs on Pacific, 2 on Cayupi, and then a pedestrian walkway also counts. So they could have 2 on the Francis Elkins Park side,
Okay, for a total of 6.
6 wall signs.
Okay, thank you.
And as proposed, they would have 6 total on the building, with 1 facing Cayupi, 2 facing Francis Elkins Park, and 3 facing Pacific Street. With that, the recommendation from staff is to adopt a resolution to approve the sign permit. And that concludes staff's presentation. I'm not sure if the applicant is going to be here. I did not hear back from them. If they are, they may be online, but otherwise available for any questions you may have.
Yeah, I have a question. Would opening up the size of the signage, that large one that is on the elevator shaft, would that open it up for other applicants that want a larger sign as well? Or is this a specific, a one-time larger sign situation? I think we need to be clear about that.
Yeah, so if this sign were to be approved in its current size, it would only be for this property at this specific location. The sign guidelines for the 50 square foot maximum applies for any future project, anywhere in the city. And if another applicant wanted to put on a 55 square foot sign or 60 square foot sign, they would still have to go through ARC or HPC for approval because it doesn't fit in with.
So one of the reasons that we're involved is because of this larger sign. If they were just replacing a sign the same size, that it may not come to us, it may be, but because of that difference, that would be, is that one of the reasons why it's coming to us?
Any sign that does not conform to the sign guidelines and that the property is zoned historic would come to the HPC for approval.
Because it's nearly 3 times larger. So it's significantly larger. It's not just 5. It's from where we're looking at not to exceed 50. We're now proposing 144. And so one of the reasons that I'm going to vote for it is that I think the distance with the park in terms of visibility from the street and around the park, I think having a larger sign in that particular area makes a little more sense,
does.
perhaps. But I also want to consider that if we allow a larger sign, there could be some museums or other businesses that might look into it because of course it gives better visibility. So you may have a line at your door saying we'd all like larger signs for our properties. So something to think about, for all of you. But to me, even the view of it, the nice view that we're looking at right here on the screen, you can see how you still can't read the detail too well. It does help to have the detail available, and I think it's attractive.
Yeah.
And I
there's plenty to learn.
understand their interest in saying this is indeed the Museum of Art and would like you to come. So is there any other comments from, yes, we have,
great.
let's just go in order. Start with Carol.
Can we,
Carol.
sorry, can we do questions now? 'Cause-
Yeah,
Oh,
I
we're-
was.
questions
I had
of
a
Matthew.
question.
Okay.
So the way I read it is the sign size is by length of the wall. The frontage, thank you.
Yes.
Does anything in the ordinance take into account the height? Because there's actually 3 stories there. That's quite a bit of building mass. So if that was a 1-story building and you tried to put 144 square feet, it would look quite different. So is it just that frontage?
When it comes to the sign guidelines, yes, it is just the frontage, and the height of a building does not
Right.
factor into it. And that is a good point. It does exceed the frontage allowance as well, which is something that I failed to include on the slide where I was talking about that it doesn't fit with the sign guidelines. There is,
Yeah,
I
it was
split
in,
there
it was
through-
in the packet.
Yeah.
It should, just suggestion that they may want to take into account the total area of the size, but, okay, thank you.
My question is on packet page 16, down at the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
What is it? Are you showing how the sign is attached to the wall? Is that what that is?
yes, that photo is taken from the attachments that are on Pacific Street.
Mhm.
Yeah, Pacific Street, not KIP. And they're anticipating doing a similar attachment style with the bar across and the bolts into the elevator shaft.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
The signs that are on the library now, they look like the same size as the signs on the museum. What square footage are those, do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I think they're probably in compliance with the 50 feet, as I recall. Okay.
I have a question, Matthew. What year was this building built? The older building, the original building?
The original building, I
didn't-
am not sure. I'm not sure.
Well, so I don't know if this building, if the first use of this building was the county building, but if it was, it says that the building is significant under criterion 1 as the county governmental component between 1947 and 1969. So I wonder if 1947 was the year that it was
I
built.
read that and I thought, I was wondering if it, because of its location, if there was something there before.
Mhm.
It could be a new building on that site. They could have taken down a house or something. Or if it had a nucleus of another building that they added to or another use. It would be interesting to know that since we're interested in historic buildings, I thought maybe there's a little more to them. You have anything that you can pull up to add to it?
I'm gonna look the county record, to see if they have any information.
I'll just fill up the time a little bit. I've always been interested in that, the history of it as a morgue. And sometimes when I'm in the bottom of it for some other, I think that must have been where the
Oh,
morgue
yeah.
was.
You
know, it-
We had a
looks-
tour of it a long time ago and that circular area is where.
The morgue was actually, yeah,
Jeez,
and
that-
you can picture it there, so, and I guess in 1969, the morgue moved to Salinas, closer to the county courthouse. So, yeah, that is interesting, I think.
So it was a mortuary and a morgue.
Yeah, I think it was the county, they called it the county. Well, my husband deceased 11 years or so, used to talk about, he was a fireman, but an engineer for the fire department. So they were well acquainted with it in the 60s. Yeah. So it, but every time I
What did
pass
they
it, I
want it
think
to
about that.
Cannery Row
Yeah.
fires, yeah. What did they
Oh,
want it to be
okay.
on?
It says that it was built in 1930.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
I kind of wondered about it. And so we don't know what its use was in 1930.
Hmm.
I'm looking at the historic survey and no, I don't see what it says it was an educational building at one point. But maybe that was the original use.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I appreciated Michael showing the picture of it in those earlier days with the nice arches kind of along the right side. And you called that a porta cochere.
cochere.
So, so it makes you think that carriages would pull up to that and enter the building, which of course then makes you think perhaps the building had an older history if we're talking about carriages. And in that case, since we've known it, there's been sort of a park there, but there could have been a drive that went there at one time.
Now,
for
now
that use.
hotels have those portico shares
They do,
So-
yeah, yeah.
from mortuaries. to-
Well, so now we can move to public comments, right? If we have any public comments. And again, we still have no public here. Anybody online that wishes to comment?
I see one attendee online, however, their hand is not raised.
Okay.
could you just remind them how to raise their hand?
Sure.
Good.
To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name that they've typed into Zoom.
Okay, and hearing none from the community.
Still no hand raised.
We'll close the public comments and open commissioner or committee comments. So,
I have a comment.
yeah.
This sign is huge. And if you sit in that nice little park, there's a beautiful view right now and the sign is huge. It's reminds me of the sign that they put on the Old Maritime Museum for the
Mm.
magic show, which is kind of in your face every time you go by there. And I would like to see it smaller, even though it fits in with that area of the building. This is huge. So I have a problem with that.
Okay. Carol.
I agree with Linda that not that we have to bring it down to 50 square feet, but maybe something a bit smaller. The Old Maritime Museum signs were very grating every time I went by. I was like, oh my God, it's all about magic or Dolly or whatever. It just seemed egregious. But having said that, I don't think we want to take it down super small. That is a huge, big space, the elevator shaft, but the sign takes up a good portion, probably more than 50%. They probably don't have square footage of the actual shaft.
140.
I'd like to add something too. When you mentioned that this could set a precedent, it will. So if we allow this, having sat on the architectural review committee and doing a lot of signs, it will set a precedent. So I think more people would be coming in asking for same consideration. So I agree with Carol. I think it needs to be smaller.
You have something to add, Kathy or Carol?
What is the size of the 2 signs on the front? Are they smaller?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah, maybe what would it look like to have one the same size as those?
Too small, I think.
That might be too small.
Right. That'll be in.
But you could have 2 together like they have on the front.
Yeah, are those banners facing Pacific? Are they the same size as the elevator sign?
They're
No,
a
that's
lot
a big-
smaller.
Oh,
They're
okay.
smaller.
They are small.
They're within the
Hmm.
criteria.
Right.
And the library has two rotating signs that are about the smaller size as well.
Yeah.
The smaller size banners are 4 feet by 8 feet. Whereas the proposed sign is 9 feet by 16 feet.
Can you repeat the numbers again?
The signs facing Pacific Street are 4 feet by 8 feet. So the length of them, you put on its side and give it a foot,
Mhm.
that's just the width. And then
The elevator.
And this sign is in comparison,
Let's see.
is 9 feet by 16 feet.
9 feet by 16
It's
feet.
about half the size.
Mhm.
The ones on the front are about half the size.
Mhm.
give or
No,
take.
they're a third.
No,
Third?
they're way
A third
smaller.
the
Yeah,
size.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's 8 feet as opposed to 6 feet or 16 feet.
So the signs facing Pacific Street are 32 square feet. And the proposed sign would be 144
Like
square feet.
quarter.
144.
144 square feet.
That is a big
That was a
difference.
big
Yeah.
jump. Hmm.
I'm gonna go to staff and, so you're hearing from several, commissioners that it seems really big and could also be a problem with people coming back and wanting more and larger signs. How did they arrive at this size and what were their reasons, you know?
If you look on page, packet page 16, the south elevation there, and then also the page before, on packet page 15, they, as I understand it, and I realize I'm speaking for the applicant here.
We're sorry they're not here. We're just, but
Same.
you may have heard them.
Yeah, it was more, as I understand it, was an aesthetic choice. If the rendering was done, they said that they felt it looked good and wanted to apply for it.
One way I would, it's just too bad they're not here to tell us their reasons. That would make it better, and we're sorry about that. But, is if I was interested in promoting a building and I had that, it almost looks like a canvas, doesn't it? That big, broad, expanse. It looks like no windows. It almost looks like a canvas, and it is the Museum of Art. So naturally they'd want to fill the canvas with something artistic. But I'm wondering if they would consider looking at it and coming up with something a little smaller. Is that did you feel they were, there's a serious reason they needed that large?
So as I understand from the applicant, the logo, the rebranding, there's the word. The rebranding they're hoping to do sooner than later as far as the banner goes on the side of the building. The push to get it done earlier than later. They seem to prioritize the replacement of signs more so. I'm not trying to say that they're not also trying to get the banner done as soon as possible as well, but it was the replacement of the size that
Well, the
they-
other signs are the same square footage, correct?
Yes.
So can we break them into two separate items for our discussion? Or do we need to address the whole packet? This would be another thing if they were here, they could let us know. And they're not that far away. I'm wondering, would it be possible to ask them to come over and speak to it? I mean, they know we're doing it, right?
Well, but it's
Yeah,
after.
They
we
did
could
receive
approve
the
it, everything but
Well, either
Mhm.
that or propose a size and
Ye-
say,
right.
okay, you
Yeah.
can, we would approve it if it were 1/3 smaller. or
And I
something.
just,
I'd like them to
sketched-
propose what they
yeah,
want,
yeah,
not
okay.
you,
yeah,
because they're the Museum of Art. They might have
Now
a
that-
very
that might not be
particular
very
idea.
artistic.
I don't know, you might be
Yeah.
right what they want, but since, I mean, it's
Yeah.
their logo,
Yeah.
their brand,
Yeah.
they're the Museum of Art.
yeah.
So they
Well,
would want to
Just
have.
in
that.
the interest of having something that they could go ahead with. I would say we could propose something and say, well, if you don't like that, then you
Yeah,
can come back
and-
with a different proposal.
We can approve all but the banner and ask them to
Right.
come back with the banner. I just sketched out on one of the renderings here, the, half of 16 and half of 9, and it's significantly smaller, maybe something partway in between, but that I agree, they're the art people.
Yeah, I think they should come with what they want. We shouldn't tell them what we think. All we can do is say that in my feeling, I've heard two people speak with concerns about it. And I haven't heard from everybody, but it suggests that we would be perhaps split a little bit or could be. And I'm wondering, and they're not here to help us out with it. I think it would be nice either if we were to postpone it for the next meeting and have them present to be part of the discussion, or if we can break it up into two different signage options where we would approve the one that Matthew feels that is a little more urgent for them and have them speak to us about the large sign. What do you think? That sounds.
Or one more thing is you could break it into two and say, we would approve a sign that's a certain size. Or you can come back with a proposal for a different one.
Well, I
That
think
way they could go ahead.
we would, what I'm thinking is a little different, but we can discuss it. I'm thinking we would approve the signs that are on the Pacific and you said there was one on Calle Principal too, or not?
There's several.
Well, yeah,
They're
But
all over.
but those are the
yeah.
same sizes as the other signs.
and facing
that were
apart,
there.
that one.
But the
smaller.
only one that is an issue for us is the large sign.
Right.
So we could pull it out. I don't want to tell them a particular sign. I would just like to say, we have concerns about how large it is and see if they come back to us with something that is smaller.
What you could do is, if you're okay with the rebranding signs, the logo signs, you could approve those and then I think it's cleanest if you approve the entire sign permit with a condition that the 144 square foot banner comes back to you, or you can choose a reduced size for that one.
I don't think I would rather not choose it without their participation.
Yeah.
So you
I
could,
think it's their building and the Museum of Art, how can they not want to to create their own sign? I can't imagine. So I think they should come up with a proposal for us on the sign.
okay,
So I don't want to give them the feeling that they can just go ahead with all the signs. I want it to be very clear.
okay,
So would you think about how you would, we're considering the sign application for one rotating banner and 3 wall sign replacements. So is that large sign supposed to be a rotating banner?
mm-hmm.
All right, so I think we would just have to separate it. We would have just the 3 wall sign replacements.
What she suggested is that we approve it, the package, with the condition that they come back for the banner, for the large banner.
I don't know how that helps them with the banner though.
Well, they have to come back to us for approval.
Yeah, it's just saying the same thing two different ways, I
Yeah.
think.
So does it, but
Yeah.
if we say we approve the proposal, then I think it creates the opportunity for them to
But we
think
do
that
this
they.
all the
have
time.
it.
We
Okay.
approve something and you gotta come back with
Yeah,
whatever your driveway gravel is or whatever.
so you could even approve the location of the banner, just not the size. So the size would come back to you at a later meeting.
Okay, can you help us with the way you think it would be best to do it according to the,
Uh,
Why don't we?
I think Carol
uh,
can,
Yeah,
she could do it.
okay,
What?
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
comment.
go ahead.
If they have to reduce the size of the banner, they might want to put it in a different location. So I'm not sure if that would help to approve that location, because they might want to move it over to somewhere
Well,
else.
they could have options of two smaller ones
Mhm.
in that space where
Yeah.
the signs themselves aren't larger than the, or, you know, they have some choices about how they want to do it. If they, so I'd like to see what
How
they
about,
come
how
up with.
about if we make a motion, we'll see how it plays out.
Sure,
And
sure.
so I'll move that we accept the sign application, sign replacement and banner or let me go back. I move that we accept the 559 Pacific Street sign application with the exception? No, condition.
Anything- what
Condition that they come back with a better proposal for the banner.
Smaller.
Or
that's
smaller
awkward.
proposal
Yeah.
for the banner.
Well, page 21 has it really good here.
Let's see.
Page 21 where it says where we're approving or not approving. Approve the sign permit application for one rotating banner, which there we could put that condition. And 3 wall sign replacements. The 3 wall sign, I think we pretty much agree on. You see that little paragraph, now therefore be it resolved on 21?
Where's this right
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, right there. That's the one
That
I'm.
hereby approve sign permit application. Well, I'm perfectly okay for the 3
Right.
wall sign replacements.
That's
Are
what
we
I
all
said too.
okay for the 3 wall sign replacements?
Yes,
Mhm.
Okay,
yeah.
then, and you say it's better not to separate them. So,
I think it's better to, because then we would have to create 2 separate resolutions. I think it's
Oh.
cleaner to just have one approved resolution with a condition that,
okay,
Yeah.
so we would approve the, his
3.
I guess we would approve the sign permit application
With a condition.
with the condition
That they come back to us,
that they
the
come-
banner.
for a
Right.
new smaller design for the rotating banner.
Correct.
Okay, that's all
Yeah,
right with
did
me.
we
I think
get
that's
that,
clear.
Erica? That's good.
I just want it to be clear
Right.
and simple
Yeah,
so that
okay.
anybody can understand it.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Can you read that aloud for us all?
Sure. What I gathered from the motion was that you're going to approve sign application SI-22-0234 for 3 wall sign replacements with the condition that the applicants come back with a smaller design for the rotating banner
yeah,
good?
come back to HPC for HPC approval.
for HPC
For
approval.
Yeah.
For HPC approval. That
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yep.
And, you know, you can tell them personally, we're sorry they weren't here to defend their banner.
Definitely.
Okay, we're ready for a motion? Carol, you want to
just
make the
moved-
motion?
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready for a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you want to do it orally also? Or separately?
The roll call.
Or a roll call?
Sure. Chair Smith Corbello,
Aye.
Vice Chair Collin,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Aye.
and Commissioner Rath.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries with a vote of 5. The decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days, and we have applications online or in our planning office.
Okay. We've completed the agenda item. And thank you, staff, for your work on it as usual. The next thing that's in that we do at this time is just have commissioner comments. Anybody have a comment about Monterey? Yes, Carol.
I'd like to again request that we have some training on demolition by neglect.
I'm working on 2 training requests, that one and then the criteria for adoption of historic zoning, which was asked for last year. We're just trying to get the right person, the person that has knowledge of Monterey. We're looking into getting the architectural resources group that prepared I think they prepared the new Monterey reconnaissance survey. So they're very familiar with the city.
Do you remember about maybe 5 years ago, Carol would probably remember when a woman actually gave us a presentation about a historic district concept for Monterey. Do you remember that?
For downtown Monterey
The-
or New Monterey. I
This
remember
was
when
for
they did,
downtown
Yeah.
Monterey.
um,
And I don't remember who she
I
was.
think that included like lights and landscape. It was quite.
It was,
hard.
we didn't move forward on it. It was a presentation, but the concept, it was sort of a concept. And it was quite a few years ago, but if you're able to pull something out like that, we might at least, if we're thinking about it, say that we talked about it, could be part of the context for it. Because and Kim would probably remember it. Elizabeth Carrick.
I can picture the presentation because it had a lot of pictures and
It was a nice
full
presentation.
color.
Mhm.
But the new Monterey ARG ended up doing it. The original consultant was slammed by the people that lived in New Monterey because they had a lot of errors in it. So they were fired. I'm not gonna give their name. But they were right off the bat, the top of their report had a picture of Lighthouse Avenue, except it was in Pacific Grove.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. So, and it just had they made a lot of assumptions. So ARG came in, they were hired again. So, and it was a much better product, I think.
That's
And they
interesting.
invited in Sharon Dwight.
Okay.
Actually was leading the charge. So they used a lot of volunteers from that neighborhood to do the research. And so they got, into the nitty gritty and the city directories. And yeah, it was one of the things that the original consultant had said that the people who lived there took umbrage with is that all grew up from Cannery Row. But when you looked at the city directories, many of the people who lived there were the result of the Presidio. They worked at the Presidio and other places. They weren't all just cannery workers. So
That
that
makes
was kind of
sense.
there was an assumption made and it didn't bear out. So anyway, ARG ended up doing that.
I wanted to say that I was invited to talk about the Mills Act and about tours. You remember at our last meeting, the secretary of Old Town neighborhood was here, Nancy Soleil. And so they thought, it kind of came from our meeting that they'd like to have a little more information. So I was very happy. Erica helped me pull together a few things and I wanted to thank her. So there is a new Mills Act document, available for the public. And so we've moved from this one from Mills Act, that's the title, 2016 to the same title, but updated to December 8th as a result of some of the discussion. I thought, I didn't know that they might, maybe they were going to mention. So it has the flow that was presented to us. And it has kind of a template for the maintenance, which I think can be helpful to the, because so I think it's nice to know about this and you're always welcome just to pick one up. They have them there available to the public. And is this new also, this City of Monterey tax saving program for historic properties? Was this new or is it?
That's old. It's
old.
years old. We have not updated that one.
Is it current though?
I have not read all of it.
It's more general than the other. It might be current. If we've updated this one, we should look at this one so that they could flow together.
Mhm.
But I think, you know, the work that was done on the Mills properties, and Matthew was a big part of that. I think we've made a lot of progress this year in understanding them and cleaning up some of the dust that had settled on it. One of the things they were worried about was the same, can we demand that they have tours of the inside of the house? So we'll say again, no, there is no Mills Act house or historic house that was deemed that on the basis of any internal feature. So all of it is on the outside, which the public can see passing on the sidewalk or on the highway. So there isn't any danger for them about being asked to open up the interior of their home. That's completely up to house owners. And so I think that was one of the reasons. And we're happy to dispel any worries about that as far as we can, you know, in terms of the paperwork and the parameters of our role in it. Is that right, staff? Yep, I
Yes,
think
that's
so.
correct.
Okay,
They're not required to show the interior. They are welcome to, but not required.
exactly. That's a nice way to say it.
Mhm.
So any other current Monterey type of things that are happening? I think a lot of things are opening up and people are getting out, and the only thing holding us back now is the rain.
I
Yeah.
do have one thing. Monterey History and Art is having a Joe Mora Day,
Good.
April 15th at the Custom House from 9:30 to 4:30.
Thank you for remembering.
Yeah,
that,
just
Kathy.
remembered that.
And
I have a, not an event, but I will not be here at the next meeting, so
okay, that's good. We'll miss you, but
fair warning.
yeah. And then I know Fernanda has some topics from staff, right?
City Council.
Yes, so the second reading of the ordinance to rezone 828 Pacific Street as a historic resource passed on February 7th at the council. So now we need to help the homeowner record the millsite contract at the county. So that's the next step.
Good, thanks.
And then I put the resolution number that now requires all commissioners and committee members to be present in person. So that's resolution 23-011. And then the wireless ordinance did pass. I think that, did that happen Tuesday? Okay. So that's actually newer than this. Yeah, so it passed.
What did, I did,
The wireless ordinance?
oh,
But
so
that-
we do have a new wireless
Mhm.
ordinance.
But that included the 100-foot setback, didn't it? They put
I-
it back in.
I don't know the detail. Do you know?
They,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. We have no scheduled items for the April 13th meeting. We will let you know, or I guess the applicant for 559 Pacific could come back to that meeting if they're ready.
Mhm.
And then some upcoming historical cultural events that Erica found were the Women's History Month. I'm not sure what, yesterday was International Women's Day. I don't know if there's any events happening around that. Then on March 18th is the City of Monterey Horticultural Fair Day, where there's a plant exchange, free plants. And then Whale Fest Monterey, also that same weekend at Fisherman's Wharf.
This is, the Wellfest is a newer event for Monterey, you know, in the last decade.
Oh,
Uh,
no, it goes back to 2000, because I have pins.
Yeah, well, Mary Alice kind of started it, I
Yeah,
think, and
yeah.
I remember
Two
going to the
thousand,
first
yeah.
couple, but it's
Yeah.
not like the Merienda or the, you know, the Festa Italia, those things have gone on, you know, nearly 100 years, it seems, but this is in the 2000s. So to me, it seems newer. Maybe that's just because I'm older. And, and I think it's just great to feature ocean life and all of the different things they cover, including reducing the use of plastics and being good conservationists and to protect our environment. So we really do want to celebrate that and invite people to enjoy that.
I will be working it on the 19th.
Me too, me too. I
I
signed up for
believe
19.
AMAP is having their annual meeting at, I think, the Veranda Adobe in Salinas.
Yes.
And I think there will be tours of the Adobe. And
My
I
cousins
think
will
that
fly there on
on
our
the
way
18th
back.
also.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
James Perry
Yes.
is the organizer and that's countywide. And you know, the wonderful collection of photographs are there. It'll be interesting to see what he's doing with that. A lot of, it's just grown and grown the last decade. And we're all a part of that. He's done a good job. So with that, is there anything else? Everybody's good. Thank you, staff. Thank you, commissioners, for coming. The meeting is concluded.